Hi biologists, let's start by looking at the learning objectives for this lesson. At the end of this section you should be able to understand the essential features of the alveoli and capillaries as surfaces over which gas exchange takes place. What does this actually mean? Gas exchange means swapping gases. In this case we want to get rid of carbon dioxide out of our blood and swap it for oxygen instead. What we're particularly interested in understanding here is we want to understand the essential features or the characteristics or the adaptations of the alveoli and the capillaries that make them suited to carrying out this job of gas exchange or make them suited to carrying out this function of gas exchange. Let's try to understand what's going on here. Do you remember in class we had a model of an alveolus? We had rubber tubing stuck into a ping pong ball surrounded by an onion bag. The rubber tubing was representing the bronchiole. The ping pong ball was representing the air sac. And the onion bag was representing the capillary. This is therefore a diagram of an alveolus. We know from biology that there are many ways of drawing diagrams. Sometimes they can be rotated. I like to draw my alveolus like this. In order for us to understand the process of gas exchange and the essential features of the alveolus and the capillaries that help this process, we have to understand the parts of this diagram and their functions. First part of the alveolus is the bronchiole. The bronchiole carries air from the bronchus to the alveolus. Then there is the alveolus itself, which allows gas exchange with the blood. There is a layer of moisture on the inside of the alveolus, and the moisture allows gases to diffuse into or out of the blood quickly. When we look at the capillary, we have to realize that it is a branch from the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery is an artery that goes away from the heart. A for away, A for artery. It goes over to the lungs, L and U in lungs, L and U in pulmonary artery. So the pulmonary artery goes away from the heart over to the lungs. When it arrives at the alveolus, it breaks up into capillaries. The pulmonary artery is highly unusual because it contains deoxygenated blood, blood high in carbon dioxide. Most arteries contain oxygenated blood, blood rich in oxygen. The capillaries have a high concentration of carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide will move from a region of high carbon dioxide concentration in the plasma of the blood into the air sac where the carbon dioxide concentration is less. The carbon dioxide moves from diffusion, moving from a high concentration to a low concentration. The water vapor will do the same. The water vapor will move from a high concentration of water in the plasma, which is the liquid part of the blood after all, to a lower water concentration in the alveolus, and as a result the carbon dioxide and the water vapor will diffuse out. In exchange, oxygen will be breathed in. Oxygen will move from an area of high concentration in the alveolus to an area of lower concentration in the red blood cell. It will move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration, therefore it moves by diffusion. The red blood cell will carry the oxygen. The oxygen actually combines with the hemoglobin in the red blood cell, forming oxyhemoglobin, which is bright red in colour. The blood is now oxygenated. All these capillaries will join to form the pulmonary vein. Like all veins, the pulmonary vein will enter the heart. I and N in, I N in vein. So veins go into the heart. L and U in lung, L and U in pulmonary, so the pulmonary vein enters the heart having come from the lungs. The pulmonary vein is unusual because it contains oxygenated blood. Now that we understand the process of gas exchange, let's take a closer look at where this actually happens to help us understand the process a little bit more and be able to observe the essential features about the alveolus and the capillaries that help this process. Remember, The carbon dioxide moves from an area of high concentration in the plasma through the walls of the capillary. The walls of the capillary are only 1 cell thick, so the gas travels easily. The carbon dioxide gas then travels through the walls of the alveolus. The wall of the alveolus is also very thin, so the gas will travel easily. The gas then will travel through the layer of moisture. The moisture allows the gas to dissolve and diffuse into the alveolus, where the concentration of the carbon dioxide is less. Now the reverse happens with oxygen. Oxygen is in high concentration in the alveolus, so it'll move from an area of high concentration across the layer of moisture, which helps the diffusion, through the wall of the alveolus, which is only 1 cell thick, through the wall of the capillary, which is only 1 cell thick, and into the red blood cell, where the oxygen combines with the hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin, which is bright red in colour. So, in a nutshell, what are the facts that have to be remembered? Gas exchange occurs by diffusion. The definition of diffusion is the movement of chemicals from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. We come down from a high. We go from a high to a low. Carbon dioxide in the plasma and water vapour diffuse out from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration, the low concentration being in the alveolus, and the carbon dioxide and water vapour are exhaled. Inhaled oxygen diffuses from a region of high concentration in the alveolus to a region of low concentration, this time in the red blood cells. What are the adaptations? What are the essential features that have to be remembered? What are the adaptations? What are the essential features of the alveoli for gas exchange? This is one of the objectives of the lesson. Well, the first feature is that alveoli have a large surface area. If I were to take them out of your lungs, stomp on them all and flatten them, they would take up the area of a basketball court. The numerous alveoli allow maximum diffusion of gases. The alveoli are only 1 cell thick, so gases diffuse quickly. Alveoli have a good blood supply. They are covered in capillaries, which maximizes the amount of oxygen uptake and carbon dioxide excretion. The alveolus is lined with a layer of moisture. This helps quick diffusion. And lastly, for those of you able for a bit more, the elastic walls allows expansion to breathe in gases, and the recoil allows exhalation. What are the adaptations of the capillaries? What are the essential features of the capillaries? Another objective of this lesson. Well, the capillaries have a large surface area. The capillaries are numerous. This allows maximum diffusion of gases. The capillaries have thin walls. They are only 1 cell thick, so gases can diffuse quickly. Lastly, capillaries have a slow blood flow. This allows time for the oxygenation of the blood and carbon dioxide excretion. What is the role of hemoglobin in oxygen transport? Well, oxygen is carried by hemoglobin in the red blood cell. The oxygen combines with the iron-containing hemoglobin, which is dull red in colour, to form oxyhemoglobin, which is bright red in colour. Hemoglobin, dull red in colour, and oxygen gas combine to form oxyhemoglobin, which is bright red in colour. What is the source of the carbon dioxide in the water vapour? Well, the carbon dioxide is carried dissolved in the plasma of the blood. Plasma is the liquid part of the blood and contains water. Therefore, the carbon dioxide and the water vapour diffuse from the plasma into the alveolus and are breathed out. So now we have arrived at the end of the lesson. Have we achieved our objective? At the end of this section, you should be able to understand the essential features of the alveoli and the capillaries as surfaces over which gas exchange takes place.